Hi there, I just wanted to let everybody know that we are going live.
Thank you, Cindy. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Priya.
The lamp is good if you have it on.
I do. I took the cover off of it, so the lampshade is off. And it's just a bright light right here.
Good lighting.
Mark, it looks really good.
Oh, good.
Hi, Priya.
Hi, Stephanie. How are you?
Great. Hi, Cindy.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Erica, I like your background. It's like a living business card.
Same, although
Thank you.
I just went to see what it says, and then it was really worth it.
Cindy, can you hear me? And you'll let me know when we're good to go?
I certainly will.
Thanks.
I don't see Paul yet if you want to just wait a minute. Oh, there he's joining.
He's there. I saw him.
Okay. Let's give it, it's 5:59, just one more minute.
I'm behind.
Huh?
I'm behind.
What do you mean?
Like my audio's behind you. You just talk.
We're good to go, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, very good. Thank you. This is Mayor Jeff Ellsworth. I want to welcome everyone to the City of St. Helena regular City Council meeting, Tuesday, September 22nd, 2020. And I'm to read a paragraph regarding remote meetings. In accordance with Executive Order N-29-20 and guidance from the California Department of Public Health on gatherings, remote public participation is allowed. We will address the order in the following ways. Members of the public may not physically attend meetings. The City Council meeting will be live streamed on Comcast Channel 28 and on the city's website, barring technical difficulties. Those members of the public wishing to participate must do so remotely via Zoom electronic meetings in the following ways: by either logging onto the Zoom link located on the meeting agenda. Please download the app to your computer or mobile device and enter the meeting ID, or by calling a listed number and enter the meeting ID. Public comment for City Council meetings will be accepted via email to publiccomment@cityofsthelena.org. All public comments must be emailed by 4 p.m. prior to the meeting. Emailed public comments will not be read out loud, but will be publicly available and attached to the online City Council agenda. And we have Priya Nixon to give us a little more information.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Ellsworth. So to participate in tonight's City Council meeting, there are a few ways. So if you're joining Zoom via the app, if you're joining from an iPad, there's a little raise hand icon at the top right-hand corner of your screen. If you're joining from a computer, it's at the bottom right-hand corner, and we will recognize hands when the mayor calls for public comment. And then I wanted to share something for those who are calling in. So I've just put up on my screen a very easy way to call in. So what you'll do during public comment is you'll call in 669-900-6833. And then at the prompt, you're going to enter 841-8478-0975. And then you'll be prompted to press the pound key and then *9 to speak. And I'm actually going to flash this again when we have public comment for any of the items. So I just wanted to share this information for those who are calling in by phone or who anyone who maybe is experiencing some technical difficulties. So thank you.
Yes, and I'll reiterate, if somebody's having trouble with Zoom, using the phone number to call in is an excellent way to manage that situation. Okay, very good. Thank you. So now we'll move on to our Pledge of Allegiance. I'll ask everyone to mute and place your hand on your heart and follow with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And now we'll move to our roll call.
Mayor Ellsworth?
Here.
Vice Mayor Doring?
Here.
Councilor Chateau?
Here.
Robertstein?
Here.
And Knudsen?
Present.
Okay, thank you. I just want to take a moment before we start, we'll get into the public forum, but to remind folks that we are still in this COVID emergency as we work towards reopening. So want to just remind folks to continue with the protocol, the 3 W's: wash your hands, wear a mask or face covering, watch your distance. We want to keep up to 6 feet of social distancing. Also, we want to be aware that we're still in fire season, so being sure to be prepared, making sure to have a go bag, making sure to have a family plan, and continue talking about these things. And then want to just thank the community, the schools, service groups, nonprofits, city council and staff, everybody for the continued efforts at keeping our community stable through all of this. So I just want to say thank you, but also we want to just remain on our toes through these emergencies. So then with that, I'm going to move into the public forum, where members of the public are entitled to speak on matters of municipal concern that are not on the agenda. Each person's comments shall be limited to 4 minutes, and each person is entitled to speak on any non-agendized item only once at the meeting. Brief questions by council members may be asked, or questions posed and answered, but no substantive discussion may take place until the matters properly appears on the agenda. So with that, I'm going to open the public forum. Is there anybody on the line for public comment at this point?
Yes, we do have individuals on the line for public comment. So I'm going to unmute this person, last name Myers. So I'm going to unmute you and please state your full name. So you should be able to speak.
Hi, this is Luke Myers. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great, thank you. So thanks for your time. And I'd like to share my support for your proposed town hall on racial inequity in St. Helena. And we've seen nearby cities such as Mill Valley and Napa pass resolutions outlining their commitment to ensuring that Black Lives Matter in their communities. What's powerful about these resolutions in particular is that constituents of both cities can now reference the commitments within these resolutions in order to hold the city accountable for truly meeting their needs as diverse residents, whether it's to do with housing, healthcare, education, or public safety, for example. And I'm sure these resolutions and the actions associated with them could serve as guidelines for St. Helena's own commitment to becoming anti-racist. And of course, the voices of our own community will be essential in getting us there. The current pandemic has exposed the racial and economic disparities already existing within our community, and it has the potential to exacerbate these disparities if it hasn't already. While we know the virus does not discriminate, it has also become clear that demographically we are disproportionately affected by coronavirus and the risks that come with it. I fear that if St. Helena does not apply an anti-racist lens to any plans to pull us out of the current pandemic, financial crisis, or climate crisis, we run the risk of establishing St. Helena as a place that is only for the white and wealthy. And now I'd like to share with anyone hesitant to embrace anti-racism as an active practice that Black Lives Matter is not a movement to disenfranchise white people, nor is it a centralized organization with a specific agenda, other than to advocate for the systemically marginalized and vulnerable. This means Black lives, Indigenous lives, Latinos, queer and trans folks, disabled folks, and anyone lacking sufficient income or housing to feel safe and valued here, as so many of us who already enjoy these privileges do. And so I sincerely hope a town hall will bring these voices to the table. If not, I worry what that might say about whose voices are already valued in our community. Also, if not, will you make a commitment regardless to pass a resolution outlining St. Helena's action plan to end structural racism in our community? Because when Black lives truly matter here, all lives will matter. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. We're working to get those issues calendared as quickly as possible. Very much appreciate the comments.
Thank you for those comments. Very important comments. Most appreciative.
Are there additional public comments at this point?
All right, so I'm checking to see if there are additional public comments, raised hands, and at this time, I am not seeing any.
Very good. So with that then, we will move on to, oh, I'm sorry. Did Anna, did you raise your hand? I'm sorry.
I did. I would like us to put considering the resolution on a future agenda item if there's support that declares racism as a public health crisis. This is something that Napa Council unanimously did on their Tuesday meeting. Everybody voted to pass it. There was an incredible staff report for it that I can share. I've had a couple of other local people, women in the community reach out to me about doing this. The program manager for First Five has brought it to my attention as something they would like us to consider, as well as the Protecting Immigrant Families Subcommittee. So I would really like this to be on a future agenda if there's other support for it.
I'll support that.
I
Thank
certainly
you.
support that as well. And I'll be meeting with the vice mayor and city manager tomorrow to discuss this. So it's really appreciated to have this much support. Thank you.
The documents I have from Napa.
Very good. Thank you.
I assume we're under item 5 now? Just to make sure we're staying on our agenda. I support that also. I just want to make sure we're under the right agenda number.
Well, on item 4 on the agenda, it says that a council member may make requests that items be placed on future agendas. So just doing that. I would have done that, but then I read that.
Very good. I think timing wise that works out. So with that, we'll take that and move forward and move into item 5. And this is reports by staff and city council, future agenda items, and AB 1234 reports. And we will begin with our city manager. I'm sorry, our city attorney. Ethan Walsh is with us this evening. Oh, we're still having trouble with your microphone, Mr. Walsh. Well, we're still not getting you. We'll circle back. We'll circle back.
How about now? Is it working?
There we go.
Oh,
We
okay.
got you now. Great.
Sorry
Thank
about
you.
that. Thank you. I'm happy to be here. As the council knows, I'm just kind of working to get assimilated into the city and enjoying working with staff and council. But other than that, I have no report at this time.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you for being here. We'll move to our city manager
No report tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
and our finance director.
No report tonight. Thank you.
Very good. Our city clerk
Nothing to report, Mr. Mayor.
from Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. At the follow-up from our vice mayor and a resident, the Public Works Department is putting on the September Coastal Cleanup Month. This year's a little different. It's an organization put on by the Napa County Resources Conservation District. Because of COVID-19, we're not having a planned one Saturday event this year because we don't want to organize groups of people, but we're recommending that get out there with your families or your fellow household members and clean up your neighborhoods, clean up your creek portions in your area. To help facilitate this, we do have a table open next to the police department in the old city hall on Main Street. A table from 8 to noon. The last one coming up is this Saturday. And you're welcome to come and get a garbage picker and a garbage bag and go clean up areas that you think need to be addressed in our city and with your family and or household friends. And you're welcome to put it in your own trash bins or bring them back to Lyman Park where there'll be a station for you before noon, hopefully, and we'll pick it up and dispose of it. So appreciate the forethought from our resident and vice mayor for bringing it to our attention because it's a little different this year, but we're still trying to do right by the environment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And our planning and building department.
Thank you, Mayor. Just happy to report that Farmstead will be coming to the council at the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will move to our police and fire. Do we have a representative this evening? I'm seeing none. So we will move now to our council members. Councilmember Knudsen.
Get off mute. No report. Thank you.
Council member Chateau.
No report.
Councilmember Koberstein.
Nothing.
Vice Mayor Doring.
No report. Thank you.
Thank you. I've got a few items I want to check in on. First, I want to recognize recent negotiations with Napa Valley College towards a partnership that could lead to a beneficial interim city hall solution. And I want to recognize the work of Councilmember Koberstein on this. and who, along with Mayor Doring and City Manager Mark Prestwich, have been involved with the negotiations that we are optimistic about. So just wanted to express our appreciation for that work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Also, last week, I was at the NVTA, the Napa Valley Transportation Authority meeting with Vice Mayor Doring. We sit on that board. And it's a good example of cross-jurisdictional support as members of the Napa County municipalities and the county approved funding for various infrastructure projects, including safety work to be done in the Pope Street College Avenue area. So we're very pleased with this. We'll have more details later, but just wanted to report out that this came forward, and it's just a demonstration of when all of our jurisdictions work together, supporting each other, we can all move forward. So that was an excellent meeting. I also want to check in with our waste management liaison, Councilperson Koberstein. There was an issue this year at a facility regarding what was referred to as Midwestern material regarding used frac tanks with detectable levels of radiation. As an alternate on that JPA, I never received information that that material had been moved off site. And if so, what that date was. So I wanted to see if we could get some information back from the JPA on that with some indication of the timing. And finally, the countywide Climate Action Committee will be meeting on Friday. So we'll be preparing for that and should have something to report back at the next City Council meeting. So that is it for me. And we will move now to our consent items. Now, this is where members of the council or the public may ask that any items be considered individually or for purposes of considering alternative action, for extended discussion, or for public comment. Unless that is done, one motion may be used to adopt all recommended actions. So what I will do is I will read through the consent items, and if someone wants one pulled, please let me know. I'll be watching for hands, and Priya could let me know if anybody from the public would like one pulled. So we'll start with item 8.1.
Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Are we moving beyond the presentations and the staff?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was my mistake. I'm sorry. I jumped forward on the page here. So we'll swing back to presentations and public recognitions, and this is 6.1. And this is AT&T, how AT&T keeps customers connected during public safety power shutoffs. And this is by Donna Davis, our AT&T representative, AT&T External Affairs. And please welcome Donna.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor Ellsworth and Council. Yes, my name is Donna Davis. I'm External Affairs with AT&T for the North Coast, which includes the lovely Napa County. So I'm happy to be here to share some information about how we at AT&T keep our network active during these public safety power shutoff events. Our network, like your homes and businesses, run on commercial power. And so when that power is interrupted, we have to have some alternate solutions in place to continue operating. So I'm happy to say that our network is really robustly designed with a goal to maintain those communications for our customers and our first responders to the fullest extent possible. So we've got multiple layers of backup built into our network, which I'm going to touch on in just a minute. But probably the most important piece there in maintaining the communications is our proactive preparation. Now we're all familiar, and we've kind of gone through this drill with the PG&E PSPS events after last year, and it took away a lot of key learnings. And I'm happy to say that the communication that we have flowing between the utilities, and in this case it's PG&E, back to us here at AT&T, has improved tremendously. And so we're really able to engage with them, with Cal OES, with the PUC, really ahead of these events so we can be as prepared as possible. And really what that looks like is making sure that we're able to stage our deployable equipment in areas where we're predicting that we're going to have these shutoffs so we can best be prepared. When I mention that, so we're talking about multiple layers, in the network design of backup power. And what that looks like is a combination of batteries backup, We've got permanent stationary generators. And then, as I mentioned briefly, we have portable generators that we can bring in during event as needed. Those solutions can last anywhere from about 4 to 72 hours, depending on the type of the facility. And we can extend that battery or that backup service by adding these mobile generators, as conditions allow, and refueling our existing generators. And so we've got an amazing team of folks out on the front line that are working 24/7 before and during these events to make sure that we're out there refueling those generators and or placing them where we don't have permanent ones in place. So what's also changed from last year to this year is we've kind of changed how we're staging those deployable generators. So they're more spread out. I hate to use the word unprecedented because everything seems unprecedented now every year, but I don't think anybody had ever anticipated last year with millions of customers out of power, all at one time. As we saw. So it really mandated a little bit of change in kind of how we stage those deployable generators. And what's key in that is that communication that we have with PG&E to make sure that we're putting those in place ahead of time so we can really reduce the amount of time it takes to get those deployable backup solutions on site. It's really important that we have this plan in place for our commercial network, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that it's really critical for our community at large for us to do our best to be prepared as individuals. And so to that end, I've supplied a document we call Staying Connected Without Power. You should see it as part of the agenda. If you need a copy of it, please let me know. But it really has some great tips on best practices to keep connected during an emergency. As much as we can do to keep our services running, if you lose power at your home, the service won't work if the end piece of equipment needs power, right? So if you're using voice over IP services, you want to have some kind of battery backup at your home or business in order to do that, or even go to an old-fashioned analog phone that doesn't require electricity, and plug it into a standard jack in the wall to be able to use that landline service. The other thing I think is really important, and I'm sure you guys have covered this a ton, is to make sure that not only that you sign up for those wireless alerts in advance of these kind of events, but also to make sure your device is enabled to receive those wireless alerts. So it's in the settings. We have found that there are occasions when people maybe had started to get multiple alerts, maybe Amber alerts or that kind of thing, and they actually gone in and inadvertently turned off the setting for those wireless alerts. So it's really important to go ahead and make sure you do that. And then probably the other key point I'll share is during these kind of events, the traffic on our network obviously increases tremendously. So the recommendation is to really maybe to look to use text messaging because it's going to have probably a better chance to get through. It's a less of a drain on the network as you communicate with friends and family during an evacuation or some other kind of emergency service. So that document has a few other really great tips. So I really recommend that everybody take a look at it and do those things to be prepared. We hope those incidents don't happen, but it's definitely ways to make sure we keep connected as best as possible. So I kind of talked a little bit fast, I think, but if you had any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. We'll take some council questions now. Here's Councilperson Shutoffs.
Thank you, Ms. Davis, for all of that good information. I did have a question because we had a local resident reached out to us, a couple of us, and say that he lost all AT&T service every time the power has gone off in town. He's lost it. And this was an email that we got just a couple weeks ago. So I assumed it was also happened at this most recent power outage that only some of our town went through. Did you have other residents in town report that? And what will be different going forward? Those changes that you said, is that in place now after this last power? Is there something that's going to be different the next time?
Thank you for the question. And Mayor, I'm not sure if this is related to the issue that we spoke about Was this following the most recent kind of rolling blackout? Not a PSPS, but the rolling blackout.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that was really an isolated incident. So the backup generation did go on as it was designed to do. However, there was some instability with the service, which our team quickly was able to troubleshoot, and it was really isolated to a piece of equipment. So this is really isolated as far as that occurrence. I think we had some delayed text messages that day and maybe some phone calls that weren't going through, but that was an isolated incident. So the backup power was there. It just had a little bit of stability issues that one afternoon.
Thank you. That's so good to hear. Thank you.
In reaching out to invite the service providers into the conversation, this is one of the good things that's come. We go through these challenges and we recognize where our lines of communication can be enhanced. And so what I think it's the dialogue about what are the redundancies, how do we talk about so we can be proactive in St. Helena about making sure the maintenance and are there things that we can do as a city to tie in with AT&T to have a direct line of communication if something doesn't work as we expect, if there's a problem. So the responsiveness from AT&T on this has been remarkable. And looking at the situation, then how we can move forward with even more redundancies. Are there any other thoughts from the council? Seeing none. So if we look at our public works and how we respond in the middle of an emergency, knowing that we have a direct line with AT&T so that if something, we're hoping, we're working towards it being connected at all times. If there's a problem, we've established a direct line now with AT&T, Ms. Davis, that we feel, and do you feel that we've got a connection with you so that if we do see something unusual that we can immediately connect?
Absolutely. And ahead of an event, if you have questions or concerns, I really do recommend and welcome any contact, from the council with those concerns. You're the eyes and ears really there directly in your community about the experience. And so I'm very happy to take that information back. And I'm very active with our network teams, both wireless and wireline. During these events, we're active in basically 24/7 chat rooms on every single fire that happens, every single power shutoff that's going on, and all of those folks are in there responding and monitoring the network and doing everything that we can to make sure that stays on through those events. And so I welcome that contact from the city. So please keep my information handy. I'm happy to do that.
Great. And perhaps it's establishing some type of routine check-in or something like that so that we're all always keeping those lines of communication open.
Yeah, absolutely. I also did want to mention just a couple things too, as far as, kind of improving communications. We do have a site that is under construction and is due to be on air hopefully by the end of December. On Dowdo, am I pronouncing that right? Lane. So, there's going to be some improved coverage and capacity there, and we continue to work on that coverage and capacity throughout Napa County. So, just wanted to share that little bit of information with you as well.
Great. Well, thank you very much. Any
pleasure.
other thoughts from council or staff here? Thank you, Ms. Davis, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll now move on to item 7.1. This is in our staff briefing. This is Upper York Creek Dam Project by Ms. Smithies.
Thank you. I am happy to report that the last log structure was installed today. Water was restored to the creek last Monday when they pulled the cofferdams from the dam or from above the dam. So water's running. Logs are in place. The contractor is busy cleaning up and doing restoration at the site, removing, as far as cleanup restoration, replacing guardrail. there's still some hydro seeding and tree willow plantings and acorns that need to be done in the next few weeks, but they are ahead of schedule. And the traffic signals lane closure will hopefully diminish by Friday, if not completely, by early next week. So we're here, and thank you all. We're probably, I would say, over 90% complete with the small portion of restoration left to complete the site. Some split rail. We widened the shoulder up at the spillway. As many of you know, we backfilled the spillway to retain the strength of Spring Mountain Road to keep it shored up, and going to be a little park outlet there for future maintenance and or people that want to pull off. We may even put the idea of putting a historic like point up there at the site, but we are that will be a completed project pretty soon and back to council for a notice completion in a couple of months, hopefully.
Just incredible work. Seeing the photos, it's very moving to see that this project was able to move forward. Are there any council comments at this point? Seeing none, thank you very much. And again, it's just wonderful, and thanks for all the work and focus. So then we will move on to 7.2. This is our update on the wastewater treatment plan, also by Ms. Smithies.
Yes, thank you. We received an update today that we have 90% design plans coming within the next week for the wastewater treatment plant upgrade. We received the initial study, a draft initial study, a little over a week ago. So we'll be reviewing that, and I've sent it out to different departments for review and hopefully get some feedback with the analytical environmental group shortly so that we can start packaging this up and get some final bids and plans and a CEQA document for council to review and ultimately adopt by the end of this year. I believe they're ahead of schedule on that, or right on schedule. So that project is proceeding forward.
Any council questions or thoughts on this issue? Seeing none, we'll move now to item 7.3. This is our city manager update regarding COVID-19.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few items I want to touch on tonight. Our case rate is now lower than it was in the prior month. We had 14 new cases announced today, and by contrast, there were 55 cases announced on August 11th. Our figures now are very similar to the July timeframe and are being reduced. The county, however, remains in the red substantial risk level category. This is under the state's blueprint for a safer economy. However, there are some positive elements to that. Our positivity rate is dropping and is currently 2.3%. The range for moderate, that's the next stage that we would move into, is a range from 2 to 4.9%. So our positivity range is now in that category. Our case rate, though, is a little higher. That's 4.3 cases per 100,000. That needs to drop under 4 in order to move into the moderate category. So we have restaurants and retailers open, but with modifications, restaurants at 25% capacity, retailers at 50% capacity. Our interim city hall remains closed, but the public can make appointments with our staff by visiting our city directory and either calling or emailing us. Our library remains open for curbside pickup. However, the library director and I are having conversations about a planned appointment-based reopening of the library, and I anticipate having additional details on that soon. There is a regional conversation occurring regarding the reopening of playgrounds and picnic tables. We're seeking clarification right now from County Health, and once we have that clarification, we'll proceed once authorized to do so from the county. That would be the plan, and then we will continue to provide messaging via our variety of communication outlets and also on the website where we've built a COVID-19 webpage. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Are there any questions from council?
I don't have a question, but I would recommend that we change the tagline on all of our emails that we get from the city. It's inconsistent with sort of the opening up mantra. it says stay at home basically, and I don't think that's what we want to say. So we need to work on a new tagline that's similarly urgent, but a little bit more optimistic.
Helpful feedback. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for that report, and we'll be moving forward again with optimism, but also with the protocol, the 3 Ws, the wearing of the masks, the face coverings, the washing of the hands, and the watching our distance. So thank you, and thank you to the council, the staff, the community, everybody for the stability that we've been able to have through all this. It's really remarkable, and gratitude goes all around. So with that, we will, I'm seeing a note that coming up is a Park Your Bike Day with the Napa Bicycle Coalition. What I'll do is perhaps when we get to but this is related to the COVID-19. So this is Saturday. It's Bike Your Park Day. And the staff and the Bike Coalition will be at Crane Park from 9 to 12 with giveaways. And this is, organized during the COVID times, so with protocol. So I believe this is relevant. So looking forward to that Saturday, 9 to 12, for the community to join down at Crane Park with the Parks and Rec and the Bicycle Coalition. Very good. So with that, if there's no more on the COVID update, we move to the consent items. And this is, we'll start, I'll read through the numbers. And if anybody wants one pulled, please raise a hand. Or if Priya sees somebody from the remotely, please let me know. I'll read through. I see 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, and 8.4. Seeing no hands, I will entertain a motion to pass these items with one vote.
I move that we pass the consent items with the adopted amended minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Shutoffs?
Yes.
Newton? Koberstein?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Doring?
Yes.
Mayor Ellsworth?
Yes. Very good. Now I'm going to just take a moment since one of these items related to our city attorney. I want to take a moment to recognize that Kara Ueda, who has been our city attorney recently from Best and Krieger, was appointed by Governor Newsom to the Sacramento County Superior Court. And it's a tremendous honor. It's a tremendous honor that we've had to have worked with her, and we want to wish her well in this next step. And also we want to welcome Ethan Walsh, who is now going to take over as our lead attorney, also from Best and Krieger. He's been working with us on numerous issues for a while now, is up to speed, and he and Kara have worked together. So we feel like this is going to be a seamless transition. So want to say thank you to Kara and wish her the best, and also welcome to Ethan. I don't know if there's any other council comment, but I just wanted to take a moment to recognize how much we appreciate your work.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
If you don't mind, just to be on the safe side, could you read aloud the item 8.3 title on the agenda?
And now is the time to do that?
Yes, please.
Okay, so this is item 8.3. Consideration and proposed approval of a resolution approving amendment number 4 to the updated employment agreement, STH contract 2019. I'm getting an echo.
Oh.
Okay, that's gone now. Okay, I'll start from the top. 8.3. Consideration and proposed approval of a resolution approving amendment number 4 to the updated employment agreement, STH contract 2019-092 between the City of St. Helena and John Sorensen, Fire Chief, reaffirming language regarding compensation for services rendered as a team manager or while on overhead assignment outside of the City of St. Helena jurisdiction, and the billing of the services to the State of California or the Department of Emergency Services made effective February 25th, 2020. Does that do
Thank
the
you,
job?
Mr. Mayor. That does it.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So with that, then, we'll move. I'm seeing no public hearings. We will move now to item 10.1. This is old business. This is consideration and proposed approval of a resolution, 1, approving temporary street closure of Hunt Avenue from Main Street to Railroad Avenue for a pop-up park program to help with COVID-19 business recovery. 2, approving the use of up to $20,000 of the funds designated for the Small Business Sustainability Loan Program to help with startup costs of the pop-up park program. Consideration and proposed introduction and waive reading and adoption of an urgency ordinance to allow the temporary consumption of beer and wine or wine in the area of Hunt that has been temporarily closed between Main Street and Railroad Avenue. I believe Mr. Presswich is going to start us on this and then hand it off.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So we're back after the prior council meeting. This was discussed, the concept of a pop-up park program, temporary closure of Hunt Avenue at Main Street between Main Street and Railroad was discussed at the meeting of September 8th. And direction was provided to further describe the characteristics and the logistics of such a temporary closure, return with additional details, including information on enhanced sanitation practices. So tonight, our business liaison, Stephanie Yacobachi, will be providing further details on the concept of the plan, and the action tonight will be to consider adoption of a resolution as well as an urgency ordinance. So with that, let me introduce Stephanie.
Thank you. Hello, Mayor and Council. So since the September 8th council meeting, which we introduced the concept of the closure of Hunt Avenue to aid in economic recovery, we've spoken about the temporary closure with merchants, discussed the concept further in an additional weekly business forum. And the staff report that you see on tonight's agenda was sent to 85 different merchants to allow them the opportunity to provide public comment this evening or email any questions to myself or City Council prior to the meeting. I'm not going to go through in detail, but I just want to briefly discuss what's included in this staff report and why it's different than the last staff report. What we did is just kind of itemize out some of the questions that were received since September 8th and some of the public comment that was received at the last council meeting. We've also included some renderings in the staff report just to create some imagery on examples of what the space could look like. Take note that the renderings don't include any sort of public art partnerships, and we think that's important to make the space feel really great to be in and showcase what is beautiful about downtown. We've had preliminary conversations with organizations like Nimbus Arts on ideas, and they were very eager about it. And we talked about some possible community art projects. If council was to adopt this tonight, we would move forward with those conversations. The space would be outfitted with, a combination of tabletops, bar height, conversation sets, using greenscape to create barriers and add intimacy, enhance the environment. We've also provided some additional clarity on the cleaning and sanitation practices in the space, partnering with the Chamber of Commerce, a combination of city staff, chamber staff, and volunteers to kind of staff monitor that space from Thursday through Saturday. Please note that we'll pay great attention to how the space is used, how busy the space is, and adjust accordingly if needed. And then also thank you to Erosion Wine Co., who was offered for his staff to assist in monitoring the space if adopted 7 days a week, 12 to 7 p.m. So that would be great for extra hours and eyes on that space. As Mark said, there was regional conversations about many playgrounds and parks opening. So you can see that this opening of public parks is a current topic that's going around that is recent in our county. And so this pop-up park kind of falls along the same guidelines of those parks that are opening. Since the September 8th council meeting, we've also been able to identify some alternative parking solutions to some of the parking space losses on the temporary closure. So we've got a net loss of 4 parking spaces. You'll see, and I think it's rendering 2, that there's a temporary striping of 4 parking spaces on the east end of the closure. We'll likely stripe those as 4 standard spaces that could fit a truck, van, SUV, any car. And then the Chamber of Commerce will give us, 4 additional spaces that are on that Railroad Avenue corner as well. So with the temporary closure, we're also, as City Manager mentioned, we're recommending the council adopt an urgency ordinance for the consumption of beer and wine between the hours of 12 to 9 p.m. in the pop-up park, just as our code allows in all other city parks. And that, is to aid our businesses as well, like Erosion Wine Co. and some of those other businesses who are want to have a glass of wine in the public park. So once the space is set up, we're going to continuously monitor its use, its traffic downtown. We'd like to reevaluate the temporary closure, discuss it again at the November council meeting. If the space serves our downtown merchants and aids in economic recovery, then the city staff can, partner with the Chamber of Commerce and create alternative plans to maybe prolong its closure through the winter months to help drive foot traffic downtown if that's something that is desired at that time. So I'll open it up from any questions and comments for you guys.
Any initial questions or comments from the council? I'm seeing Ms. Koberstein.
Yeah, I'm wondering, perhaps this would be for Ethan. One of the public comments from Lawrence Papale asked some questions regarding the sidewalk being incorporated into the project. Maybe you'd like a few minutes to review that, but if you could respond to his comment today, I think it would be helpful. Thank you.
I did see the comment. I'm happy to address it to the extent I can right now. Essentially, the way our ordinance works is that the public sidewalks along the frontage are the responsibility of the property owner, with some exceptions related to street trees and in specific areas of the city. This ordinance would not change the sidewalks at all. It's a closure of the street, and so it's closing the street from vehicular traffic, and so that's open, and it may increase foot traffic to a degree in the downtown or in this area, but it doesn't really change anything with regard to liability. I think he mentioned there was some cracking and everything. Some of that really depends on the specific facts of what gave rise to that, and so I don't want to opine on whose responsibility that is right now without knowing more details about that specific area. But I can say that this ordinance would not change really anything related to the sidewalks along the frontage.
Thank you.
So in terms of clarity, so they would not be incorporated in the design, and they would be free flowing as normal.
That's what he said.
Yeah, thank you. Just trying to get the clarification. Very good. So any other council comments?
I have a question I think could be helpful, because I asked Ms. Smithies earlier about when our public bathrooms were going to be open, because somebody mentioned that in a comment as well, and the answer was great. So you want to share what you told me earlier?
So PG&E is slated to drop the connection to the downtown restrooms on October 12th. We're going to attempt to try to move that up, but with the fires, they have prioritized repair work first. But October 12th is the Monday, and we're planning to be up and ready as soon as they're connected.
Very good. I'm going to open it for public comment here. I see Mr. Knudsen.
Yeah, sorry. I had an extensive back and forth with a community member, and I was just curious. I wanted to throw out a couple things as questions, and I haven't seen it in the documents, and maybe it's there, but I'm missing it. One is, do the trucks that deliver, the big 18-wheelers that deliver to Safeway, do they use Hunt? And if so, is there a way for them to maneuver through Railroad or Edwards or whatever it is in order to deliver food to one of our two supermarkets, one of our two markets? The second question is, I appreciate the endorsement, enthusiasm from our business community. I'm wondering if when the rains hit, if we have some open storefronts, and are there some landlords that might be able to extend this sort of open parklet idea to buildings that are currently unoccupied and empty? I know it'd be a little more complex, but wouldn't that be an interesting idea to continue to have life in our town? That's it.
I do think that looking proactively at what happens when the seasons change and how we can learn from this and morph into the next season is important. So I think it is important to keep an eye on that ball as well. Unless I see any other council comments at the moment, I'm going to open it for public comment and see with Ms. Nixon if there is anybody.
Before we go on, it would be important to address Mr. Knutsen's question regarding the truck traffic. I think that's important to answer that now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Doring and Knutsen. I do have an answer for you. Safeway was the first business that was contacted when the concept was brought to our attention. We spoke to their store manager and he assured us that their traffic could use the Adams Street turn to provide deliveries to Safeway. And I don't really have a response regarding your question number 2 about utilizing additional storefronts. I think that has to be some conversations with the landlords of the empty buildings as well. But it's something that we'll look into.
And I had also heard some concerns from some businesses about truck delivery and truck traffic, but seeing that Adams Street is a viable alternative, I think we can make the case that that will work through this. So thank you. So with that, I will open it to public comment.
Sure. So before we take public comment, I just want to flash on the screen the number if anyone needs to call in. So it's 669-900-6833 and then 841-8478-0975. And that's also posted on the agenda as well. I just want to make sure folks are able to have that information. And right now I'm looking to see if there are any raised hands for public comment on this item, and I'm not seeing any. So I'll remind folks that if you're joining Zoom via the app, if you're on an iPad, the raise hand is at the top right, and if you're on a computer, it's at the bottom right. And give it a few more seconds here. I am not seeing any raised hands.
Okay, very good. We'll bring it back to the council. I want to applaud staff for the focus and the work on this that have answered a number of the questions. I recognize some community concern. Anytime trying something like this, trying something different, it raises concerns. I think that the way we've looked at the parking issue where we're losing a minimum of spots, we're giving some remarkable opportunity. We're looking at the COVID protocol and creating an environment and looking at the renderings. I think it's fantastic and should be very attractive. We want to invite people, but also keep it within COVID protocol. I think we're handling that balance. I'm certainly excited about the idea of moving forward with this, but also at the same time want to continue working with the community for folks who do see issues that come up and make sure that we're responsive as we go forward. Are there any other thoughts? I'm seeing Ms. Koberstein.
Yeah, I have 2. I am concerned about the weather when it changes. This is a street that historically gets a lot of water and sandbagging, near the doorways. So I think we have to be prepared to deal with that if it happens. Secondly, there's a comment in the staff report that a comment box for the public may be installed. I would like to ask you to consider some direct means or way for merchants or people who are using the park to more directly contact the city if there is any issue, while it's in operation. I'll leave that to you to figure out how to do it.
And we're one of many cities trying things like this, and the conversations have reached cross-jurisdictionally and finding out how other cities have dealt with this and what the benefits and pitfalls. And so I think we've researched it pretty well. Mr. Knutsen?
Yeah, Ms. Koberstein, great idea. We could certainly set up one of two things. We could have a little subsection on our webpage or a little app, or just let people text to XYZ if you've got, if you notice something at Hunt that needs to be addressed. And then we could get in sort of to a real-time posture regarding handling any issues, if there are any, at the parklet. That would really reflect well on our city.
Yeah, I think your texting idea is probably the best. People who will be sitting there will have phones and have it be an easy way for them to ask a question or raise a concern. Thanks.
And again, this just demonstrates the proactive approach by the staff, by the council, in responding to these unique circumstances. And I think this is a way for us all to work together and bring some energy downtown and keep our focus moving forward. With that, is there any additional conversation or discussion before I ask for a motion? Mr. Doring, am I seeing?
Well, I just had one comment. To be clear, the idea about closing this space was generated because of a concern of mine about the streetscape project and what was going to happen to our downtown during that period of time. And there was a lot of discussion with Councilmember Koberstein and the committee and me about alternative accesses and alternative uses of space during that construction period. So I actually see this as a sort of a test case to see how it works out before that project hits us. And it's going to hit us fairly hard. It's going to be short, hopefully, and quick, and we'll get that out of the way. But that's how I see this project, as a way of sort of introducing that concept, see how it works. I think it's important for people to have an idea of, let's keep an open mind. It may just work out great. There's going to be some glitches. Let's work on it. I do want to thank all of the letters raising a number of concerns, having positive comments. All of those comments really help make the project a better project. So a lot of people took the time to write it. I'm very appreciative of that. Folks expressed particular concerns about their issues, which educate the council. And so I think it's a really good process that we've gone through. And let's just check in again in a couple weeks after it gets running to see how it's working. But I hope folks have a spirit of can do. Let's see it work, and let's be positive about it. And the idea that we're in this together, and that sometimes our own little individual grievances have to be put aside for a while for the good of the community, and that is the downtown. So I'm optimistic that this is going to work out, in particular in preparation for the streetscape. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Chateau?
Not much more is needed to say at all. I've appreciated everybody's comments on this. I've appreciated the staff's work on it with the chamber and the business community. I think it's been incredible. The drawings look really excited. And I think not only is it good for supporting local businesses, but as a person who lives here with my family, I'm really excited to go down and use that space and what it means for our town. So I'm ready to go for it. I'm excited that we're doing it.
Great, thank you. And I think Mr. Doring makes an excellent point that with the streetscape coming, this will give us an opportunity to test drive a model that I think we're going to see is going to be very beneficial. So thank you. So with that, if there's no further comment, in terms of a motion, would it include all these? The resolution would include these three different pieces, Mr. Walsh? I'm seeing Cindy with her hand up.
Yeah, no, Mayor, Cindy can chime in if she has anything to add, but I would ask that there's a resolution and a ordinance before you. I'd ask that you take those separately, because the ordinance is an urgency ordinance and it has to pass by a 4/5 vote. So I don't want to create any confusion on that.
So if we take a motion for the first two items first, do the vote, and then a second for the urgency ordinance, a second vote for that.
Yes, that would work.
Okay.
I'll move approval of the recommended items number 1 and number 2 in the staff report.
I'll second.
And a roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Doring?
Yes.
Councilmember Koberstein?
Yes.
Chateau?
Yes.
Knudsen?
Yes.
Mayor Ellsworth?
Yes.
I'll move approval of item number 3, adopt the urgency ordinance by title only and waive further reading by a 4/5 vote.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Vice Mayor Doring,
Yes.
Councilmember Koberstein,
Yes.
Shutoff,
Yes.
Knudsen,
Yes.
Mayor Ellsworth.
Yes. Thank you very much. And I want to just give my thanks to the staff and the community for the input and the staff for the work and the response, and really pleased to see this move forward. So that is taking us to the end of our agenda. If there's nothing else for the good of the order, we will adjourn the meeting and see you at the next regular meeting. Appreciate very much everybody's time and focus. Stay safe, stay focused, and as we move forward, and alert and calm and resolute that we'll get through all our challenges. Thank you.
1 hour. Good job.